Hi, hello everyone. I am Prashant Nandam. Welcome back to my channel. As you all know, we have created AWS Masterclass series recently and we have completed that series as well. Now, if you see, we have Linux series, version control, where we covered GitHub, GitLab, Git, and recently we have completed AWS Masterclass series, where you have complete hands-on experience on most of the DevOps related services, AWS services. And today and this time we will be starting Terraform course. Before we proceeding into further lecture, I kindly request you all to subscribe to my channel for more DevOps related content and share it with someone who is interested in learning DevOps courses. Let's begin today's session. Today we will be starting a new series which is Terraform beginner to advanced series. As you all know, we have GitHub repos for our previous sessions and previous courses, which is Linux most used commands and AWS Masterclass series and version control basic to advanced. You can refer to this series for notes and demo related information. This time we'll be starting Terraform beginner to advanced series. In this series, we'll be focusing on Terraform. We'll see how to integrate Terraform with cloud and all those things. And I have prepared this session, complete series into 11 sessions where we will be clearly discussing what is Terraform and what are the Terraform modules, variables and all the things. Today we'll be starting session 1. Session 1 is most of like a theory part and session 2 will be starting with demos. It's an introduction for Terraform we'll be covering in session 1. If you see here, in session 1 we'll be seeing what is infrastructure as a code and imperative versus declarative approach, benefits of Terraform and Terraform versus other tools such as Ansible and CloudFormation. And we'll also see when to use what. So let's begin this. First we'll see about introduction. What is infrastructure as a code? Most of you all might aware of this word but may not know what it exactly is. For an example, in our AWS series, we have logged into our console and to create an EC2 instance, we'll be clicking on EC2 and we'll be choosing launch instance and we'll be providing resource name and AMI details, all those things we use it to provide and click on launch instance and then our instance was launched, right? That was completely a web UI and this approach has problems, by logging into console and doing all those things. Sometimes we use in our day-to-day task or in production environment, we may encounter manual errors and it is not possible for repeatable things. It will time consuming one and difficult to track changes as well. Now for an example, I create an EC2 instance and someone comes and attach a new EBS volume to it. I'm not aware, I may not know or I'm I don't know really who might have added that EBS value or all those things. So to avoid all those things, Terraform comes into picture. And now we'll see what is infrastructure as a code. Which means infrastructure as a code means managing and provisioning the infrastructure using code instead of manual process. What all we have done here is a manual process, and what we will be doing with Terraform the Terraform is using a code and writing a program, not a program like developers or something. It is a just simple program. We can understand it very easily, and we do have some modules in our official website. So that's the thing. And if you see here, I have clearly mentioned definition as well. Infrastructure as a code is a DevOps practice where infrastructure, which are servers, database, load balancer, is managed and provisioned using code instead of manual process. Okay, this is again same thing what I have shown here. And later we will see what is, before moving to further, just look at here. Manual approach, will be log into AWS, EC2, run instance, EMI, all those things we used to select, right? And how we will be doing with infrastructure as a code, which is Terraform. This is what we will use. We just mention, or we can only mention AMI image and instance type, and the instance will create. It is not recommended or required to provide all the details such as security group and public IP, all those things. In Terraform, we will be writing resource, and this is the resource name AWS instance, and this is an example. I mean, we can modify these details, but this is AWS instance we are creating, and this is a name, and we will be providing AMI details and instance type. And this is how we will write a code in simple words. Okay, and now we will see what is imperative versus declarative. This is nothing but infrastructure as a tool generally follows two programmatic styles. Okay, one is imperative approach and the other is declarative approach. Imperative approach, in this approach you tell the system how to do something. I mean, you tell the system how to create an EC2 instance, how to create a security group, or how to create a S3 bucket. You will be providing step-by-step instructions, or you define step-by-step instruction to get what you wanted. That is called imperative approach. And when it comes to declarative approach, as I mentioned previously here, it is not required or mandatory to provide all the details while creating an EC2 instance. That is what declarative is. See, in declarative model, you define the desired end state, and the tool determines how to achieve it. If you just say AWS instance and its name and AMI ID and instance type, the Terraform itself achieves the next determined state. It will create an instance just with this help, just with the help of this resource code. That is what declarative approach means. Okay, in simple words, in declarative approach you tell the system what you want and the rest it will take care. In imperative approach, you tell the system how to do something with a clear step-by-step instructions. Hope you got it. Next we will see this is the comparison table between imperative and declarative. You can go through it later. Now let's see benefits of using Terraform or benefits of Terraform. Terraform is an open source infrastructure as a code, and it was provided by HashiCorp. Okay, and it uses a declarative approach and supports multi-cloud providers. Later we will come to see what is provider and all those things in our next sessions. Today we'll just brief terminologies or why it is used and just a brief introduction about Terraform. In later videos, in later session, we will cover what is providers and all those things. In Terraform, we can use multi-cloud support as well, which means you can create a resource in AWS and Azure or Google platform or any. You can mention in providers AWS details or Azure or Google. Any of these two details or multiple, all of three details, and the Terraform will deploy resource in each cloud platform. Okay, that is the one thing. And automation will also become very easy for you. No manual work needed, and we'll be using mostly two commands: Terraform init and Terraform apply. We will see what those two commands do in our next coming sessions. Next, what we have, declarative configuration. We already seen it. State management. This is very important. Okay. In Terraform, state management means it is a state file to track infrastructure. Whenever you create a resource or you create a S3 bucket, it will track infrastructure. Okay, all the infrastructure details it will keep tracking, and this is the heart of your Terraform. Modular approach. And in modular approach, we'll be creating a module so that we can call that module whenever it is required instead of writing complete code. We will see what is module in our next session. For an example, here we have a code for EC2, right? And if you want to recall these, we will be declaring variables, AMI image name in variable and type in a variable, and we will mention that variable value in variables.terraform. In addition to that, what we will do, we will make it as a module. Whenever you want to use this module, we will be calling this with the location where we will be storing this file. Let me show you if I can get an example. Terraform module example. See, this is the module. Here what is doing in modules, it is creating AWS static bucket and all this information is provided. If you see here, this is what we are saving, and whenever you want to call that module, we will be providing this module name. Somewhere it will mention, let's see. Here, when you want to reuse the steps or the program or the code which was written previously and declared variables and everything, you can use the same code and just modify the values by calling the module. We will be providing source and the destination of the file, which is where we store the module for S3 bucket, and the Terraform will automatically fetch this module and create an infrastructure. Okay, that is one thing. We have seen module as well, and then we have other platforms as well. Terraform is used for infrastructure creating, and we have a tool called Ansible. We will also cover Ansible series coming days. And if you see approach, we came to know Terraform is a declarative approach, but Ansible is mostly imperative, which means we have to tell what we want to do or what the system want to do. And just to give a short definition about Ansible, for an example, you have a workstation and you do have 3 workstation and you want to run or you want to install Nginx on all the 3 missions. So what we will do, you log into each and every mission and install Nginx, right? Instead of doing that, in one mission you can install Ansible node, and in that Ansible node you can write some files such as we'll be writing 2 files. Let me tell you what are they. Ansible files. I just want to show you, it will be inventory and the playbook, but I want to show you so that you will be able to understand more quickly. Inventory and playbook. These are the two things we required in Ansible. C. In inventory, it is .ini file, and we will provide the host address details, which are IP address and host details. I mean the other two workstation details will be providing, and we'll provide our SSH key details to log into those 2 missions. And in playbook, we will write our program. See, here it is installing Apache, but in our case we can install Nginx, and we can also write a sentence to start that Apache. If you see here, ensure Apache is started and started enable is. All those things we can do it for Nginx as well. And once we run this in our node mission, the Nginx will be installed on this instance or the workstation which are mentioned in the inventory file. If we have 100 workstation IP address details, the Ansible will install the Nginx in all of those workstation from the single node. I'll show you when we do a practical demo. We will understand more at that time. Go through this for more information. And similarly, we have CloudFormation in AWS. If you're not aware, I request you to watch our AWS Masterclass series, where I have clearly explained what is CloudFormation and how we use and how we create an instance or resource in AWS with the help of CloudFormation. You can see the difference here. Terraform, we can, as we discussed, it can be used for multi-cloud, but whereas CloudFormation only in AWS. It uses HCL language, HashiCorp language, and CloudFormation mostly in JSON or YAML. Terraform is managed by Statefile and CloudFormation is managed by AWS. It has more high flexibility and it is limited to AWS ecosystem. You can go through this Pulumi as well. Same again, I just mentioned difference between two of them. You can go through it. This simply I mentioned when to use what. If you want to create multi-cloud infrastructure, you can use Terraform, and if you want to deploy only resources in AWS, you can use CloudFormation. As we mentioned, if you want to deploy a server or a application which is Nginx or something in most of the workstation or more than one workstation, without logging into all those workstations, you can simply go with Ansible and Pulumi. It is complex logic in IaC. I request you to go through this doc for more information on Pulumi docs. You can also get more information about Terraform and AWS CloudFormation and Ansible docs. I request you all to go through this article links once, get some more information or more insights. You will get more insight on these tools. And by this, I conclude we came to know what is infrastructure as a code and what is declarative approach and imperative approach and what is Terraform code. And we also came to know Terraform supports multi-cloud, and we also compared it with the CloudFormation and as well as Ansible. You can just click on these links and go for more information what is Terraform and all those things. You can find it here. And that's it from my end today. It's just an introduction about Terraform and some brief demo. And in our next session, we will be covering how to install Terraform and how to install VS Studio and what are Terraform init, Terraform plan, Terraform apply and Terraform destroy. We'll understand all those .ef files and we'll see basic examples as well. This time I already prepared complete notes for Terraform and we'll be doing hands-on demos in our next lab, starting from next lab. And before ending, I wanted to show you what we'll be covering in our Terraform beginner to advanced series. In our session 1, we have covered foundation of infrastructure as a code. We have come to know what is infrastructure and imperative or declarative when we use Terraform with other tools. And in our next session, in session 2, we will be covering how to install Terraform and how to install VS Studio and how to understand the Terraform init, Terraform plan, Terraform apply and Terraform destroy. And we will also see Terraform workflow. We'll understand .ef files, and in session 3 we'll be covering what are provider and resources. We'll also see practical demos on each thing. We'll see what is Terraform providers and multi-cloud concept, resource blocks and data source. In session 4 we will see what is variables and output variables and how to define them. All those things we'll verify. And in session 5 it is a very important topic. It is a heart of a Terraform state file. We'll see how to manage Terraform state locally and how to manage it in remote state. All those information we'll see. And in session 6 we'll learn how to write a module and how to reuse that module. And we'll also see functions and expressions. Later we will see provisioners and null resource. We will also, in session 9, we will see workspaces and environments. We will be having dev, stage, prod environments, right? We will see how to manage those environments and what is workspace versus separate state files. Everything we will cover there. And in session 10, we will see how to troubleshoot Terraform errors. And at last, we just will in session 11. This is the last one where we'll be concluding our Terraform beginner to advanced series. We'll see in detail about these topics. That's how I have planned this Terraform course. If you have any doubts or any queries, feel free to mention in comments. I'll try to answer all of those things. And that's it from my end for today. See you all tomorrow in our next session. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.